So, welcome back, everyone, to this weekly dev call. The agenda of today, well, is posted in the meeting in the event, but we are going to start talking about the Nomad hack. Mike will explain that. Then we're going to review the indicators. The last week we decided about the PostgreSQL, including the PostgreSQL the drivers. So well, I will talk with Soothsayer to refresh the PR. Well, we can start with that and see where we go. If you want, Mike, you can start talking about.
Okay, yeah, actually, Fede, your voice was a bit choppy. I'm not sure if it was other people responding. It seemed a bit. I'm not sure your connection was that great, but anyway, hopefully you guys. But for everyone in the audience, please let me or Fede know if you can't hear us properly, and we'll change. If so, we'll change our mic. So first off, I wanted to give everyone a bit of a recap on what happened with the Nomad hack, since we've already published a post-mortem on our forum, and so basically the you know the based on the forum thread, we there was about 11.8 million HBOT tokens that were taken in the hack, and so after that, so far we've been monitoring what happened afterwards. So a majority of the hack tokens have already been sold on Uniswap. And the price there hasn't been a huge impact on the price. Uh, Unfortunately, there's still about 4.6 million tokens that still sits with the hackers. So I do think that kind of puts more kind of selling pressure on the token out in the market. And so as people, I do think that it would be better if those tokens obviously were sold, or if somehow the hackers were locked down. So that's why we did lay out a plan to potentially reissue the HBOT token in the forum thread. Actually, I'll post the forum thread in the community chat channel. Just did that. So I would say the foundation does believe that reissuance is possible. However, we only want to take that step if it's something that the majority of the community is behind, because there is significant operational work with reissuing the token, creating all the smart contracts for locked up token holders, and issuing the tokens to everyone who has gotten it in the past few months. So there are some potential advantages with reissuance. For example, you could reissue HBOT on a different chain, like Polygon or Arbitrum or Avalanche, where it's more gas efficient. However, due to the work involved, and because the tokens taken only represent about 1% of total supply, for now, I would say our stance is we're not going to do anything proactively. But if the community feels like it's something that we should do, then if a governance proposal is passed that says we want you to reissue the token, then we absolutely will. So that's kind of where we are with the Nomad hack. I just want to give everyone an update. But please read the postmortem that we published in the forum, because that has a lot more details on exactly what transpired, our plan to reimburse the HBOT holders on Avalanche who had the token, as well as kind of like what the details of the potential reissue. So yeah, so does anyone, if anyone has questions about the Nomad hack or the how we're handling it, please, please, I guess raise your hand if you want to speak, or you can drop your question in the community chat. in addition, just to give everyone an update, so we're going to start kind of like the process for Epoch 2. Now that and I think for Epoch 2, we're moving toward a more decentralized, community-based process for kind of like basically for pull requests and improvements and so forth. So this is something that we published on the forum a while back, but we'll start to add um, all that into the documentation site. Basically, the process for someone to submit bugs, submit enhancements, create pull requests, and so forth. In addition, we'll start to kind of like create Hummingbot improvement proposals for some of the things that we've discussed. In the past, I think last week we discussed orchestration, project, and have how community members are working on it. So I think we'll start to kind of start that process, and trying to kind of like make sure that the community is really the one supporting going forward, and trying to build a better community.
Okay. In the chat, we don't have any questions yet.
Sorry, Fede. I didn't catch that. Can you repeat what you said?
Yeah, that in the chat, we don't have any questions yet. Can you hear me or? I don't know if you can hear me. Yeah, you can hear me. I thought that the internet was not good.
Yeah. It actually might have been my side. Yeah. Fede, why don't you go ahead and start on the indicators PRD and discuss kind of like that, and then I'll try to reconnect to see if this problem.
Okay. Just to talk, Soothsayer that is here in the call. Last week we defined that we are going to go for the solution that you proposed. That was adding the dependencies to the requirements TXT for the DB drivers. So feel free to continue with that implementation or rebase your PR, and we're going to merge it. So I don't know if you can review the last community call video or record, but that was the decision. So rebase, and we're going to merge it. Well, today we have to talk about two main things after this HBOT Nomad had. I pasted a PRD of the indicators. That will be the first topic that we're going to discuss. Then we're going to discuss, and Fauci is here, so he can show into the stage the dev that wants to talk about the DCA for DEXes. And lastly, we will have some community Q&A. So, well, we can start talking about the PRD if you can open the Notion page. So in that Notion page is the explanation of what we want to do this, who is the one that is going to use it, well, a lot of things. So we can start with the description, just to clarify. And the idea is once I cover one heading like description, you can add more details if you want. And all those details we're going to collect and improve this PRD. And once we all agree about which has to be the final solution, we are going to create the HIP, and some dev will implement this solution. So, well, what we want to do is provide indicators to the strategy. We can categorize them into 3 different types of indicators. One of them are like event-based, like, I don't know, something happens, okay, quickly go and do this. So it's like a callback of one, like the methods that we have that are triggered when an event happens. Like, hey, a market order is filled, or order is filled. Well, something like that. Some indicators that will be event based, like probably can be an external API. The TradingView integration is one example of event based. Well, then we have the bar based. Well, let me put this into side by side Discord. So if you are putting something in the chat, I can read it. So, well, perfect. Then we will have the bar based indicators. This will be creating some indicators like RSA, I don't know, moving average of the indicators. Currently, we have an instant volatility indicator that is using a strategy, but the bad thing about it is that you have to create an instance of that class every time that you want to code a new indicator, and probably it's much more easy to use a library like TALib to do this. So, well, that's one of the goals to have these OHLC bars. And then could be like, I don't know, sentiment analysis, and we can receive that indicator from external sources. And instead of triggering an event, you can just access the value. Like, for example, the rate oracle, you can access the prices of different sources every tick, but it's not triggering any event. So those are the three types of events that we're going to handle. Yeah, that one, the instance volatility indicator, is a current implementation details. But the idea is to remove that. Well, we are going to keep that. But instead of having that indicator that you have to pass to it the price of the tick every tick, and then you have to manage the buffer inside, select the length and all those things, you can simply have an object that will be the OHLC object, and you can code the indicators directly with DALib without using Python directly or Python. So, well, Carlito asked, will indicators be done in separate strategy, or will it be integrated to a particular strategies like X? Okay, Carlito. The idea, that's what we have to define here, is like we have to define the what we want about this. But I think that this has to be a module that could be used in any part of the source code. It will be an external module, and you can access the OHLC in the scripts or in the strategies, in any part of the code that runs a strategy. That's the goal. Well, well, the user persona, who the person that we are going to build this for, will be users that wants to improve their market making strategies using technical indicators. Right now, you have to use, suppose that you want to use some indicators. You probably are using the TradingView integration with Roger.dat, but probably you don't want to raise or create a new server to run a system that is forwarding the messages to their different bots. Probably you have a strategy, a simple strategy of moving average or polygon bands, and with this it's very easy to code and improve any strategy using this directly, and you don't have to pass through the part of PineScript. We are going to support that PineScript part using these event-based indicators, so we are not going to eliminate that. But there is like two different ways of having the same result, and I prefer as a developer to code the indicator inside the Hummingbot code, or code it in another service that is my service and sending the messages directly to the bot using the board orchestration layer that we are going to create. So, well, yeah, so Soothsayer, the indicators, probably the indicators will have events too, because the events, you can code an event inside Hummingbot in which in the part that you want, you have to use just the trigger, the method trigger event, because all the time iterators are subclasses of PubSub. So you have that trigger event method created, and then you can use a method to trigger the function that you want. But we can add that to the description. Well, also another person that will be interested on this will be users that wants to develop directional strategies. Probably, I don't know, if you have a directional strategy using mean reversion techniques, well, you want to have some indicators. Users that wants to add specific events based on some signal detected in the market. This is interesting. Suppose that you want to. This is what you are talking about, so say here. Specific events based on some signals detected on the market. And also, I thought that users that want to incorporate prediction models in their strategies will be the use case too. Well, which is a problem that we are going to solve. This will be have an easy way to access and incorporate new indicators to use in Hummingbot strategies without using an external source like TradingView to do it. While we talk, and why we think that this is a real problem? Well, probably a trading strategy will rely on technical indicators to define certain rules. We know that Hummingbot is a market making arbitrage framework, but probably to improve your market making strategies, you want to use some technical indicators. So we are trying to solve that issue, and that's why we think that is important. So which will be the success, or how we will know if the problem is solved? Well, if the user can define different OHLCs for the trading pairs that are involved in the strategy, suppose that I initialize Binance with Ethereum USDT and BTC USDT, I know that I will be succeed if I can create OHLCs for Ethereum and for Bitcoin, and more than one. Suppose that I want to initialize OHLC of 5 minutes and OHLC of 1 hour in Ethereum. I would like to be able to do that. Not just stick to just one time frame or volume. That is another thing that I would like to talk with you now and explain why for me, this is a personal thing, but why for me is very important to have these different options and not only use the time frame based bars. Well, another success will be to add indicators to do those OHLCs, and that you can access them in a simple way in the strategy. And also, the last thing is that the user can plug in signals in the strategy. At this point, I would like to, finally, when I finish this part of plugging external signals to a strategy will be covered by Kialpanagi and De Hoy Roger in the implementation of both orchestration. So probably this improvement will be just sticked only into the part of creating the OHLC object and add indicators to the OHLC. So, well, which will be the functional requirements that we are looking for? You can create an OHLC for the markets involved in the strategy, and also can be more than one OHLC for the same market. Suppose I want to time bars of 5 minutes and volume bars of 100 BTC. And also, it has to be able to collect historical data to start the bot. Probably we'll have some restrictions here, but I think that because the OHLC probably will have this difference that will probably, to create an indicator, you will need, I don't know, 10 bars or 60 bars of the past, probably a good feature will be to collect historical data to start the bot, just to don't wait. And then another thing will be adding technical indicators for each OHLC. In this case, I recommend to use a TAD or some library that provides technical indicators. Well, this part of the unified entry point, I will remove it because it's covered in the other HIP that will be the bot orchestration. Well, now we have to talk about how we can implement this. So, knowing a little bit the source code, I think that there are like 2 ways or 3 ways can be to have this done. And I will explain you like the 3 ways that I think. One is using directly the API endpoint that the API of the exchange provides. The second one will be using the price that is every tick, because the strategy, you have the price available in the strategy every tick. So you can use that price and start and inject that price like in an object that will be this OHLC, and you can do with that price, you can construct with that price the OHLC. The problem of these 2 solutions for me is like you can only create time bars. Well, now I will explain why I think that volume bars and dollar bars are very important. I also plug an Ocean. I will paste it here too. I also provide an Ocean post where I explain the different parts of dollar bars, volume bars. But well, the main thing or the main problem of time bars is that the price can be moved without volume a lot if the order book has no liquidity. So why this is important? Because if you move the price with low volume, it could be like a manipulation, it could be like a fake price movement, and probably that's why there are a lot of strategies using the VWAP, that is the price that was bought like in average the last time. So these volume bars, instead of creating a bar every 5 minutes, that probably is not representative, because in 5 minutes at the night, it's not the same trading intensity or the same trading activity that you have at morning. Instead of building the bars in specific time frames, is building the bars every 100 bitcoins transaction, or every $1,000 transaction. So these kind of bars are very used in machine learning because it's a real price movement by people that is which is the price after I bought 100 bitcoins were bought in the market, or the quantity of bitcoins are. So that's what you can define the OHLC. So these kind of OHLC are very interesting because they are much more representative. And how you can define that are more representative than time bars is because the distribution of the returns, it has a much more normal distribution than the time bars. Sorry if I am talking about some technical aspects about this, but well, I was working a hedge fund that we were using these kind of bars to predict the market, because there is a book of Marcos López de Prado that is like one of the most known people in financial machine learning that talks about this in the first chapter, and well, it makes a lot of sense. So well, that's why I think that having the possibility of having OHLCs of volume is very important. Obviously, in order to do this, you have to, and that's the first option that I create, is that you have to create the OHLC based on the trades. Yeah, and now I will explain how you can create the OHLC based on the trades. And I think that is the best way of doing it, because if you are creating the OHLC based on the trades, it's like how you can execute this in the code. Suppose that I am creating time bars. Well, I collect all the trades. The first one is the open. Then I will collect all the trades. When I have a minimum or a value lower than the minimum, I will replace the minimum. When I have a value higher than the last max, I will replace the last maximum. And when the 5 minutes is reached, I will close the candle, and that will be the OHLC. And I will start with the next candle following the same architecture. The thing is, I'm going to stop streaming the trades, and I will close that bar every 5 minutes over the time frame that I want. Which is the difference if you are building volume bars. You start the OHLC, you put the price, this is the open price. You are streaming all the trades, but you are summing the volumes that are traded in every trade. And once you reach the 100 Bitcoins that you define, you close the bar and you continue with the next one. So instead of cutting it by time, you cut it by trade volume. So well, that's the difference. And if you have the trades, it's the same to build OHLC for volume, time, dollars. You can build all the OHLC that you want just using the trades. Well, that's saying all this. Now I would like to understand what do you like to have in the source code, or if you think that this is useful. Probably you say, hey, we are not going to use machine learning, or we are not interested in having this kind of indicators, and we can just stick with using the tick every price or doing whatever you want. Now I would like to hear you, or well, if you want to join the stage and talk, you can also join the stage.
Yeah, actually, so yeah, thanks for explaining all that. People are talking chat. Give my thoughts as before. I think, yeah, it is really worthwhile to add a Hummingbot. I think the main thing that I want to try to do is kind of like more strictly define the scope of like what this project is going to be doing, and possibly splitting it up in different ways.
Mike, I don't know if it's me, but I can't hear you. It's like very rolling.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Maybe. Yeah. I'll put it in the chat. Actually, I'll put it in the chat. Okay. Thanks.
Soothsayer writes, the way we have been building volume candlestick previously and also makes it work for normal candlesticks, it has the function begin candle, add to candle, close candle. That way we can have a time-based way to build the candle and something. Yeah, that's true, Soothsayer. You are going to use the same trades to build the time, the volume, and the dollar bars, because you just have to use the the open, low, high, close, but the difference is where you close the candle. That's the only difference, because the rest will be like the same. The how you define the beginning of the candle, the low and the high, and the only thing that changed is where with which criteria do you close the candle. Okay, Mike says, I think we should divide this project into candle building, how to collect data with Hummingbot and construct candles in various ways, and 2, incorporate candles into strategies, convert data into signals, and use them in the strategies. Yeah, so you're saying that maybe we can create a two phases for this shop, like having a module that can build candles, and then how we can incorporate these candles into the strategies, right? Having these two phases. The thing is that, okay, perfect. Because the thing is, I would like to talk about this because probably the development of the OHLCs using the trades will be much more difficult than building the OHLC just using the on-tick price. So, and that will be like an dummy implementation of the OHLCs. But well, I like the idea of building the OHLC using the trades, because it's how you build you can build multiple OHLCs. But well, anyone has another comment? DEXes is writing. Okay. DEXes says, is there a way of using ticks from another coin exchange, like using Binance ticks inside a bot quoting on another exchange? I think that in this case, the best way of implementing this will be using the exchange that you already have. But I don't really know, but I think that using you have to use the exchange that you have initialized. But don't worry, because you can initialize multiple exchange in the same script or in the same strategy. So for that won't be a problem for your strategy. So suppose that you are interacting in, I don't know, KuCoin, and you are market making on KuCoin, and you want to use the OHLCs of Binance, you can initialize the two of them and just use Binance. But well, the part of the design of the solution probably will have a lot of discussion, and we can select like the best way of implementing this. But well, probably I will ask some experienced people about this. Anyone can also add your ideas about this. But well, the thing is, if you are going to use the trace and we are using the exchange class, we should modify all the exchanges in order to have this. Well, that's probably a lot of work, because we should use the WebSocket channel that streams the trades that all the connectors have, but we are not doing nothing with it. So, well, probably we can use that one, or probably we can create a connector that connects directly to that channel and build the OHLCs. But well, I think that a lot of people can comment about this, and we should understand which is the best solution. So, well, perfect. Yeah, Mike says that we can continue discussion into the indicators channel. I think that is very cool, because the indicators is like, yeah, it's not so much used. So, well, we can continue discussion there. Well, we can move to the next topic of today. I will invite Fauci to join. Abel.
Yeah, sorry, I wanted to ask you a question. Did you mention just now that the connectors are not using the public trades channels for anything?
No, yeah, for the paper trade exchange, I think that is used for understanding if the order is filled. But
but you mentioned that you mentioned that connectors in general do not use the public trade channel for anything. Is that correct? That's what you meant?
Yeah, I think that it's not so much used, the public trades.
Oh, that's totally wrong.
Well, for what is used?
That's totally wrong. All connectors do connect to the public trade channel. All connectors do receive the information. The information is sent to the order book, and that's the information used to calculate the last traded price. So it's very actively used.
Yeah, the last trade price is calculated by that. Yeah, but well, yeah, you're right.
Well, before thinking on implementing anything, I would suggest reviewing the current logic, because there is a lot of logic already there.
Yeah. We should review it in depth. But well, I didn't remember that the last traded price was used with that channel. But yeah, that's the only thing that is done with this channel. So well, well, maybe you have another one, but
I will not keep challenging. But please take a closer look before you say this is not used for anything, because you will be surprised. It is used a lot for many of the price strategies that connectors can use to or allow you to request. The last traded price is used, so we should not consider it useless.
Yeah. And what would you do in this case to construct the OHLCs? Do you think that we can use that trades of that channel directly to build the OHLC, or do you think that will be better to create another component that directly streams that channel of other exchanges, or I don't know?
Well,
you were one of the person that I was going to ask.
I think that will depend a lot on whether we are planning to calculate the OHLC of the connector that we are using to actively trade on. So the connected, let's say the connected connector, or if we want to be trading on a particular connector, but then create our in these indicators based on other exchanges information. So depending on that, I would say we can use one or the other. The thing is, if we want to trade on one particular exchange, but we want to have indicators coming from other exchanges, it will not make any sense to keep the full order book of other connectors just to generate the indicator. So in that case, I think I would take a different approach.
Okay, I understand. So you say like if you like the example of DEXes that said about trading one exchange using indicators from another exchange.
Yeah,
you will
if
create
that's gonna be the case. Yeah, if that's so to be clear, in any case, I would create a different component. But
but using the trades streamed by the channel of the exchange that is currently running, or creating a new connection of that WebSocket channel will be the difference.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, perfect. Well, that's the two options we have. Probably the approach of creating a new connection with the trades channel in a new component won't be so invasive to the current exchange code base. But if you are using Binance and you want indicators from Binance, you will be receiving the information via WebSocket 2 times in that case.
If you do it as you are mentioning, yes, you will be having plenty WebSocket connections to Binance with the added risk of being banned by Binance because you are establishing too many connections. So
yeah, probably we can, I don't know, maybe the less invasive solution will be using the API and don't get banned. We'll be using the current connection the WebSocket connection that we have.
If you want to build the indicator based on the current operating connector, then I would say yes, that's better.
Yeah. Well, perfect. Well, thank you, Abel, for mentioning that. I think that we can explore this solution a little bit more, and we can continue the chat in the indicators channel. And also, Soothsayer says also whether we want to have altogether separate price feed module in case we want to build our own ticker plant for backtesting data, and also reduce the cost to exchanges. For instance, we have 10, 20 bots running at the same time. We want to refer to the same BTC price as one of the references. Okay. Well, but in this case, Soothsayer, I think that it's okay, but probably we can create another topic to discuss that, because having another price feed module, I think that it could be different than creating an OHLCs, and maybe will be another topic of discussion. Well, we can continue to the next topic. I will invite now Fauci to join, and Carlito, which was the dev that wants to talk about the DCA script? Al Khalifa blockchain is here. Al Khalifa.
Hello, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, Al Khalifa, the devil asked about this is not here. I think I'll go ahead and explain the DCA script for for DEXes in our case, since we set it up for other topic for this. So in order to connect to the gateway from the client, you would use either the gateway HTTP client or the gateway EVM connector for EVM compatible DEXes. So for you to create a script, the logic is similar to DCA example or any other example that is available under the script folder. The only and the biggest difference is that the gateway uses asynchronous calls to get the price or to basically take trades, buy, sell, anything like that. The current version of the script does not support asynchronous calls, so there are two ways we can work around that. It's either you have to create a function with the logic inside of the script itself. You have to create a function with the entire logic of the script that you are going to put under the onTick function, and then call that function under the current function and in safe ensure future. This will create a small delay when executing the script. The delay usually will be not noticeable from my experience when I created an example of it, but it's a delay nonetheless. So this is one approach that you can take in building a gateway.
You, Fauci.
Mm-hmm. Can you hear me, Pedro? Can you hear me better now? Okay. No, okay. Good. Mike is saying I think we should create an example script that shows how to interact with the gateway. I agree, Mike. I already started working on that. Well, stop it. I should probably push the finish that code and push it to the repo to show how. The user asked for like a clearer explanation on how to like build the DCA script. So I just wanted to explain the logic behind this code. So as I was mentioning, the way you would create like a script that interacts with the gateway is similar to the way you create a normal script. The biggest difference is that the current version of the script does not support asynchronous calls. So there is two ways to work around that. It's either to create a separate asynchronous function in the script itself and wrap it in safe ensure futures, which would create a small delay when getting the price from the exchange, or override the current onTick function with an asynchronous onTick, basically changing the way the script functions. I tried the first approach using by wrapping the logic of the script inside like an asynchronous function and calling it under the onTick with safe ensure futures. It's functional. It's just that there is, as I mentioned, a small delay. I think the best way to showcase this, as Mike mentioned, is to create an example an example script that I'll probably push to the repo soon, as soon as I finish it, in order to exactly user can interact with the gateway from scripts. if you have any other question, the user that suggested this I don't think is on the call. If you have any other question about that, you can ask them in the chat.
Okay, there's no questions for Fauci. Okay.
Yes. So Memento Mori is saying use concurrent future and check when result is ready. I think that's probably different approach that I haven't explored. That might actually work as well. The logic is that you work around the fact that the current script does not support asynchronous calls. So if you have a way to work around that to make the calls to the gateway through either gateway HTTP client or gateway EVM AMM connector, then that should work, and the logic for the script should be the same as if you are creating a script for a centralized exchange. When they're saying he used the in-thread new event loop, it seemed a bit messy for him. I think the way that the way I worked around it is to create a function in the script, an asynchronous function, and put all of the logic that goes under the ontick function in that asynchronous function. Then call that function using safe ensure future in the ontick. That worked pretty well for me. Yes, I will be sharing the Momento saying that it would be nice to see how I did it. I'll be sharing I'll be updating that script. I created it a few weeks ago, so I'll be updated it to the and sharing it pretty soon. Also, there is the module 3 of the developer bootcamp that we will be showcasing how to build gateway script. Yes, the third volume of the developer bootcamp.
Okay. There is any other question? Now we are finishing with the Q&A section. We have 3 minutes left. So okay, Mike says, to clarify, we are focused on running Botcamp module 1 well first, but plan to expand more modules over time. Okay. Well, for me, that's all. I don't know if anyone has another question, but we can finish the meeting, not